You're listening to Three's a Crowd, the North East Footy Podcast, with Rye for Borough, Steve for Newcastle United, and Ted for Sunderland.
Good morning, beautiful people of this beautiful world of ours. Welcome to Three's a Crowd Podcast, a very special podcast, a shorter one, because we have got a massive, massive game of football that's already been played. Middlesbrough won at 3-1. That's it. That's all that matters. These two don't matter because Middlesbrough are second in the league. Who cares about what these two are doing? Hey, up the Borough. No, I'm kidding. We have got a massive game. Newcastle taking on Sunderland at the Stadium of Light later today. It is going to be absolutely massive. We're going to have all of the breaking news or what we think, getting the two lads from either opposite sides of the pitch here and getting all your thoughts. And we will be getting Steve off on time as he will be going to the match today. It's a massive good morning to you on Derby Day, Ted the Mackham.
Good morning, gentlemen. I've been up early. Funnily enough, the black cat of mine has been very, very lively since about 5:30 this morning. So she's feeling the nerves, I'm feeling the nerves, and I think we're all feeling the nerves a little bit on this one. Before we give our warm introduction to my Geordie colleague, obviously there was some sad news coming out of Sunderland yesterday regarding Gary Rowell, former Sunderland player, former Borough player as well, of course. I wrote a couple of words down, and if you lads don't mind, I'd just like to, I guess, get it out there to the fans.
Yeah, go for it, man.
Everyone connected to Sunderland AFC is deeply saddened to learn of the passing of club legend Gary Rowell, who's passed away at the age of 68 after a long battle with leukemia. Born on 6th of July 1957, Gary represented the club from 1972 to 1984, scoring an incredible 103 goals in 297 games. The club stated on the official website that on Sunday, Wearside will come together to celebrate his immense contribution to our club and remember his unforgettable time in red and white. Gary passed away on Saturday afternoon, 50 years to the very day he made his Sunderland debut, and alongside Kevin Phillips and Len Shackleton, he is one of only 3 players to have scored a century of goals for Sunderland since World War II. Gary achieved this without often playing as an out-and-out forward. He was a midfield player with a knack of arriving late in the box and snaffling up half chances. He was also a brilliant penalty taker, converting 25 of the 26 spot kicks he took for the lads. Gary's hat-trick in a 4-1 win over Newcastle United at St James's Park in 1979, when he set up the other goal for Wayne Entwistle, shot him to iconic status among the fans, and the timing of his passing feels so much more poignant and hard-hitting. Rowell remains the last Sunderland player to hit the Derby hat-trick. Universally loved by all on Wearside, the tributes from friends and colleagues in and around football described him as the perfect workmate, a great big brother figure, and just the nicest person ever. Over a decade with Sunderland, Gary also played for Norwich City, Middlesbrough, Brighton and Hove Albion, Dundee, Carlisle United and Burnley, but he always remained red and white to the core. The word legend is massively overused in modern day, but never when accompanied by the name Gary Rowell. We will always live in a Gary Rowell world. Rest in peace, legend.
That was absolutely amazing. Great words. And obviously thoughts with the Rowell family at this time. It was obviously a Middlesbrough legend, but also a Sunderland legend. And a little bit more oomph for today's game if there wasn't enough already, I tell you, because, I mean, it's a crazy world, isn't it, Ted? It's a crazy world, mate.
Oh, absolutely.
And, you know,
absolutely.
We take every day for granted. And when we lose a club legend, it's like, I don't know. When you're a fan of a club for so long and all your life, and you see the players that you watch that gave you such highs and some connected to them, it is almost like losing a family member. So again, thoughts with everyone connected to the Rowell family. We hate seeing it, and it's just a sad. But if there couldn't be any more emphasis on today's game, Steve, then obviously Gary Rowell's passing, especially with the game being at the Stadium of Light, mate, has just turned it up another notch.
Yeah, certainly has. And obviously my thoughts go with Gary's family and friends. It's been a long battle for him by the sounds of it. And he's at peace now. So, we always recount legends in these games. You know, I think, if you're a red and white or black and white persuasion, you'll have spent the last week reminiscing about great days, great games, great players, and Gary was certainly one of them for Sunderland. But for me, yeah, it's been an interesting week. Obviously, we've never really stopped playing football. It's been crazy. After those couple of Premier League games at home, we then on Champions League duty again in Leverkusen, which was a great trip, I have to say. A fantastic time out there, wonderful country to visit, Germany, and some great cities in Cologne and Dusseldorf, and Newcastle fans, seeing the best of foreign travel as opposed to what they saw in Marseille only a few weeks earlier. But yeah, the conversations have obviously centred around the derby over the last few days, and we've got our fair share of heroes who wore black and white as well, and there's been some great games over the years, and there's been some absolute stinkers, and I see this game, to be perfectly honest, being somewhere in the middle, because ultimately it's been bigged up by Sky, it's been bigged up by the media, and often when those games get bigged up, it's going to be the derby, the best derby ever, blah blah blah. It's usually a damp squib. So control of this game lies, obviously in the two teams and how they approach it, but also in the officials. The referees have always got a big say on how a game goes. I'm not so sure we've got the right referee for the derby. He's not really had any controversy with us, to be honest. Peter Banks. We've had him 4 times this season. We drew at Leeds 0-0, 2-0 win over Forest, 2-1 win over Fulham. This is like the 4th game we'll have had him. So there's no controversy with him. I'm not sure whether he's strong enough. I've seen him in other games where he hasn't let the game flow. He gets card happy. So I'm not so sure on the choice of referee. But one thing's for sure, it's going to be a hell of an occasion, and I genuinely think that as you said, I think the passing of Gary Rowell certainly gives it that kind of let's win it for Gary kind of emphasis from the Sunderland. But,
I think it does.
I don't think this Sunderland team at this moment in time need any reminding of the last results. A lot of them probably weren't there. I'm sure that they will be showing them a few videos and that this week. They'll have showed them a few videos and that this week. I wouldn't be surprised if Jason Tyndall's photograph of Newcastle's team being pictured in front of their own fans at the Stadium of Light after the cup win will be in their minds as well. There'll be all kinds of psychological play. What I will say on my team's behalf is, we're used to playing big games. A lot of the team that I support have played at the Stadium of Light in a derby atmosphere, and they will be used to it. So it's on a knife edge. It really is. Either way, this game, it's a hell of a game to showcase North East football. Let's hope it's showcased for the right reasons.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I think it's going to just emphasise how much football means to all the people in the Northeast. I mean, there is such an emphasis on the London teams and the Manchester teams as well, but the Northeast of football, it often gets overlooked, doesn't it? And there is massive emphasis on the derby, and I think it's been such a long time in the Premier League era to have seen the derby like this, that there's going to be young kids that don't understand how much this game means to people of the Northeast and what it means to Sunderland versus Newcastle. Now, we were lucky enough to see it in the FA Cup just recently, but today, Teddy Boy, it's a Sunderland team that is completely different to that team, and that was only a couple of seasons ago. Do you know what I mean? Such has been the meteoric rise of Sunderland. I mean, you've got a different manager, you've got a completely different squad that are rocking up today as well. Obviously, there are some familiar faces. Chris Wigan, there's a couple of boys on the bench that are going to be able to know what it's like, but the majority of your squad, you would think, that would start today are going to be brand new to what it's like to play in a derby against Newcastle United.
Yeah, brand new to derbies. Absolutely agree with that, mate. I don't think there will be. If they've spent any time around Sunderland in the last week in their training, they'll know what this game means. Granit Xhaka was kind of almost told on the way into the building as he was signing for the club what this is, and he gets it. He's saying he's had big rivalries in his career, but he sees this one as the biggest of them all, which I think is testament to how well he's taken to the club. It's a different club, not just a different squad to what we had. It's a different club to what we had in that cup game. I was on Steve's show, the Three Amigos show on Friday, which is a great show as well for Newcastle fans. Honestly, give that a watch because it's a well run show. It's very professional. It's nothing like this one. And we had a chat on there that Michael Beale era just feels like that was worse than being in League One as far as the mentality of the fans were at that time. What else I did want to go on to say, and you just touched on it there, Rye, is the Northeast right now is having somewhat of a resurgence in football.
It is, yeah.
We've surprised everybody this season. There's no two ways about it. Newcastle are regularly dining at the European table.
Yep.
Now that's something that we haven't done since 1973 when we won the FA Cup. So you've got to give respect where respect is due. You've got Middlesbrough, who look, to all intents and purposes, rejuvenated under the new manager, and really, I can see them catching Coventry at this stage as well. So, I use the term "purple patch" for Northeast football, and it's long overdue. It really, really is. And I think an event like today showcases what the region is about. Yeah, obviously, I'm wearing my red and white hat, and I'm absolutely geared up to go hell for leather, sat next to a Geordie in the pub, of course. And I want to see the team beat the old enemy. But when all's said and done, when we look back on this weekend, the whole entire world will be watching this game. Anybody who's watching Premier League football wants to watch this game this weekend. And I think we've just got a golden opportunity to show that Northeast football is back, and it's just heading in the right direction.
Steve, I mean, for someone that's brand new to the Premier League and maybe hasn't been able to experience what it's like for a derby, I mean, from a Newcastle point of view, obviously travelling to the stadium a lot is a massive, massive affair for anyone living in the Northeast. Obviously, we were talking about this on the show previously about how they talk about how the fans need to be escorted. I mean, that we've seen footage on social media of police going to Newcastle fans' houses, asking if they're going to be attending the derby. I mean, there's so much. There is so much to this for not only the two teams at stake, but for the whole area. That it just means so much more. Now, that obviously, I think if you go up to a football fan from around the world, that they can obviously talk about Manchester City and Manchester United. They can obviously maybe talk about Liverpool and Everton to some degree, but rarely would you talk to a neutral fan that would understand what it is for Newcastle taking on Sunderland. Can you summarise what it means today for someone that's been around it for so long?
It's the biggest game of the season for both sets of fans when they're in the Premier League, because it's a huge game. It's the for me one of the biggest derbies in the world. I think we're pushing it. I was talking about this yesterday. I think we're pushing it, saying it's the biggest derby, but it's certainly one of the most passionate. It's a game which is when Newcastle go to Sunderland and vice versa, the atmosphere is second to none for that opening 20 minutes. It is sheer dislike for one another. It's as simple as that. And from my perspective, it's just a passion supporting your football team, and the banter in the workplace is something which I think everybody enjoys if they win, and everybody hates if they lose, and if it's a draw, then everyone goes home happy. But I just think it's special. It's a strange thing, because from the 1970s, that's what the derby has been like. If you speak to anybody who used to go to the derby matches before that, in the 60s, the 50s, the 40s, they'll tell you the same story, whether they're black and white, red and white, that they used to go to both games. They used to go to Newcastle one week and Sunderland the next. There wasn't any of this rivalry. They supported the Northeast teams. So it's quite a strange scenario that this happened. And it's down to the change in social economics, and basically the rise of football hooliganism as a hobby in the 70s and 80s. And unfortunately, that's what's torn, I guess, both sets of fans apart, both clubs apart. And I dare say as well, the media has played its part for ramping these things up. And no, I don't hate Ted today. But for the first 20 minutes when you're in that stadium and you're singing all those songs against each other, and if Ted was there, it would be the same. You would literally be singing against each other. It's the closest you come really to a hatred for 20 minutes of your rival fan. The 90 minutes, of course, is different, because whoever takes the upper hand in the game if we can if we can nullify the home support of that first 20 minutes, we've seen it happen. You see it happen at St James's, and you see it happen in the Stadium of Light. That first 20 minutes is crucial. If Sunderland don't get on top today, some of the fans start turning on the players who've made a mistake, who've misplaced a pass, who've done something. And you can't change that because it's human nature. It's how certain fans react. And this is where we're at. But if Newcastle can get an advantage, and because we're the minority again, and because we've both reduced each other's allocations, 2,500 fans, will make a noise for 90 minutes, but it's not the same as having 6,000 fans there. That'll play its part. Yeah. But it's going to be some noise today. Sunderland already had a huge flag display organised. Add to that the death of Gary Rowell yesterday. And, it's going to be ramped up an extra couple of notches as well. Yeah. It's the first game back. Sunderland feel like they're on equal footing with Newcastle now. When they played us in the Cup, it was, we are in the Premier League. You've got more money than us. You've had your takeover, blah, blah, blah. This time, Sunderland have got no excuses if they don't win. They are playing well. They are the form team at the minute. Sunderland are the form team. Newcastle really go into the game in some ways as underdogs. We're a point behind Sunderland, but it's finely balanced. It really is. The heart all week. I've fancied this game. Because if there's one thing Eddie Howe's team do, it's turn up in the big games. And they're not a team that just does that, because they have, they've managed to etch out results against what I would call some of the teams were lost last season. The games would chuck away like Bournemouth, Burnley, Brighton, Fulham, and those are the kinds of teams we've been struggling to beat. Hasn't been pretty, but we've beat Burnley 2-1. Hasn't been pretty, but we've beat certain other teams this season by the odd goal. So Newcastle are finding ways of doing things. It's going to be interesting. I can't wait to get there.
It's going to be a massive, massive day. We're going to talk more about the derby and get both these lads' feelings. We would be remiss to not talk about Middlesbrough's result last night as well. Middlesbrough got a 3-1 victory under Kim Hellberg, his 4th win in 4 games. It is absolutely incredible what this Swedish manager has done to Middlesbrough, not only the club, but also the area, because we are starting to believe heading into Christmas where we will be guaranteed in the top 2. And it's been a long time coming, has it, with Middlesbrough being in the top 2. Obviously, Newcastle and Sunderland sharing the life of the Premier League, and that's where Middlesbrough dream to be, to continue the northeast rise of football. Middlesbrough had a fantastic start. Again, first 45 minutes was absolutely incredible, blowing away QPR's defence with 2 quick unanswered goals. And then as we came back from the second half, a quick penalty given to Tommy Conway finished off Middlesbrough scoring. They were then given another penalty, were QPR 2 in the same week, given against Middlesbrough to unfortunately take away Solbrin's clean sheet. But it has been an absolutely hysterical start to a manager's reign. 100%, 4 games. He's got more wins and more goals than Rob Edwards has games at Wolves now. It's been incredible to see a manager walk away from us in 4 months of football to go to the Premier League, which is, understandably when you're in the Championship, obviously the Premier League is a pool not only for players but also for managers. To see a manager leave us after 4 months, Kim Hellberg come in from Swedish, never played English football. The man talks so intelligently. I've never met or ever come across a more intelligent person in a press conference when he talks about tactics. And Middlesbrough now sits guaranteed second over Christmas. If fortune favours, we could be obviously first if we do catch Coventry. But Teddy boy, just quickly, I know your mind is elsewhere today. You've got a massive game ahead, but just quickly, mate, Middlesbrough second going into Christmas. New management. We're talking about the new management buzz and all that sort of stuff, but Middlesbrough fans are daring to dream as we have a 7-point gap now on third, heading into the Christmas period where notoriously Middlesbrough haven't been too good. A couple of seasons ago when we were doing our old show, we had losses to Rotherham and all this sort of stuff where I had to rock up and talk to you lads early in the morning, and I was absolutely devastated. But second at Christmas, mate, in the Championship, new manager, it's an incredible place to be. Not only that, but heading into January as well as second, where you've got that extra pulling power, much like you saw with some of your signings in January.
There's parallels, isn't there? Because even the fact that Hellberg was on the shortlist around about the same time as Regis Labrie to Sunderland. And you can see why. There's definitely strong parallels between the way the season's going. All right, when we got Regis Labrise, it was after replacing an absolute donkey in Michael Beale. But there you go. That was the only difference there. Borough just looking really, really strong, and they've got belief, which is one of the greatest ingredients you can ever have. Winning is a great habit. It's a cliche in football, but winning is a great habit. And once you get into it, it's very, very difficult to actually to stop that. You look at Coventry City, who are doing exactly the same thing. They've got into the winning habit. And Borough just looking stronger and stronger. They're actually starting to take teams apart, not just like scrapping away and getting those scrappy wins, which are very, very important when you're trying to get promoted. Of course it is. But they're starting to play some real quality stuff. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's a couple of January signings just to shore up that squad and actually push on. Because right now, mate, I can't see anything other than Borough even overtaking Coventry and going up automatically. I think it would take an almighty collapse now to be going into the playoffs or anything like that. They're just impressive. I still think there's a little bit of work to do in terms of the defensive side of things, but I looked at Alan Brown and his contribution yesterday. I mean, the interception just to nip it off the toes, absolutely incredible work. And that's what you need. You need people who are going to put those last-ditch tackles in, drive the team forward, and bring that quality. Hayden Hackney is vital to that team. I can't see him leaving in January, if I'm perfectly honest with you. Why would you? I mean, only an idiot would leave Middlesbrough right now and go to a team in the Premier League that's struggling, right?
Yeah, you hear that, Rob. Thanks for tuning in as always. Steve, obviously the focus is on the derby today for Newcastle and Sunderland, but as a Northeast contingent, mate, Middlesbrough are sort of emphasising that. We've got Matty Targett on loan, we've got Alan Brown on loan, both two, one player from Newcastle United, one player from Sunderland, where we are a league below, obviously, the other two teams in the Northeast, but to see Matty Targett, who's been absolutely fantastic for Middlesbrough, but also Alan Brown, who's been fantastic for Middlesbrough this season, it just emphasises that Northeast culture of coming together. And honestly, I haven't seen Middlesbrough play better football than I have in the last 4 games under Kim Hellberg, whether it's the new manager bounce, whether it's the fierce fight nature of Rob Edwards' dismissal. But just quickly, mate, your thoughts on Middlesbrough travelling we'll be in second come Christmas Day.
It's all about the gap. I keep going on about it on this show, but opening up that gap between you and third place is important. The teams combusting behind you, this has helped you over the last couple of weeks, and you're back. That gap's back to 7 points, isn't it? I mean, that's an amazing gap at this time of the season. Coming into the busy Christmas period, though, you've got to keep that going. If you could open that up to 10 points. You've got to say Middlesbrough and Coventry have got to be favourites to take those top 2 spots. But you're only 5 points behind Coventry now, and you're in a really good position to keep this going. But yeah, listen, good result, good win. The manager seems to have them playing for him. He's got that new manager bounce, and hopefully the acquisitions of Targett and Brown for your boys will show that Newcastle and Sunderland have done him a big favour.
Yep, no, it's been a fantastic, absolute bounce to Kim Hellberg, and long may it continue. Middlesbrough have Bristol City next weekend away from home, and that will be their finishing off just before Christmas. But to be second at Christmas, Borough fans, I tell you what, it's time to believe. But tell you what everyone else does believe in. They believe in a little cat that likes to get on the keyboard, because it is time for Troll of the Week.
Just a quick one, because obviously we've got the derby to focus on. Donald Trump's hair's finally run off to seek a better life after the latest release of Epstein files. And boy says to his mum, "I've got the biggest willy at nursery. Is it because I'm a northerner?" The mum replies, "No, it's because you're 28, a bit slow. Now be a good lad and try not to spill spaghetti hoops down your Liverpool shirt again." And does Santa Claus really live at the North Pole? Well, let's look at the evidence. 1, he wears red and white. 2, he's good at breaking into houses. 3, he's got loads of electrical goods that nobody can trace. 4, drives an unlicensed vehicle. 5, only does 1 day's work a year. North Pole, my arse, he's a scouser. And coming to town, yes, Santa Claus is coming to town. Arsenal got beat this week. Didn't go unnoticed. There's some tablets for their fans. Take one a day to think it's your year. Hardly a great result against Wolves last night either. You think they won the Premier League. Does anyone else feel like they're being watched? Central Intelligence Agency replied. And Francis Chipp was at it again this week. Understand Sunderland boss Regis Lebris would consider taking over at Fulham and Bournemouth if either job became available. 50-year-old Frenchman was briefly considered by Wolves before preferring a move for Middlesbrough's Rob Edwards. I'm glad to see he didn't. No, but not many fell for that. He did get a load of people with the knee slide getting banned. 17.1 million interactions and people going viral with that. So well done.
He is good. He's a good troll.
Sunderland player Luke O'Nien set a new record this week as well. He became the first player to be sent off in each of England's top 4 leagues. Fair play. Incredible, that. And always be careful what name you get in the back of your shirt. The banned plastic forks, they make them out of wood instead, and then they pack them in plastic. The world is saved. Yes, that was a football ground this week. And this man stopped smoking for 6 years, and he saved the money he used to spend on smoking to buy a car, and then he died in a car accident. Sunderland's biggest game in years, Newcastle's third biggest game in 7 games. Levels. Boy. Mickey getting that one out there. And Michael Owen, conversation to Mo Salah. I can imagine how you feel. You've carried this team for a long time and won everything there is to win. But there's a team game. You simply can't publicly say what you've said. You're going to AFCON in a week. Surely you bite your lip, enjoy representing your country and see how the land lies when you get back. Liam replied, a Newcastle fan, you played more games for England than you did for Newcastle in your first 2 years with us. You then sent a brochure of yourself to clubs while you were pretending to be injured in the middle of a relegation battle. I'll sit this one out if I was you bell. And I love this. So we're talking about social media. David Coverdale from Whitesnake put this out this week. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brothers and sisters of the Snake, after 20 fun-filled years of interacting online with all of you Snake people, first with BBS on whitesnake.com and then onto Twitter, those were the days, Facebook, Instagram and TikTok. It's been a fab ride, but along with over 50 years in the music business, it's time for me to withdraw from social media to fully engage in sweet reflection on my career and my life and enjoy my retirement with my friends and my beloved family. It's been such a pleasure for me to interact with you all over the years, sharing music, videos, funny memes, farts and giggles, tour info, unboxings, Q&A with DC, Santa Snake, etc. Unforgettable, precious memories. I thank every one of you for your support and participation. What an incredible journey we've shared together and what a magical experience. Please take care of yourselves and know you are truly loved beyond measure. Be safe, be happy. Don't let anybody make you afraid. A very Merry Christmas, a wonderful New Year to you and yours from me and mine, your obedient servant, David Coverdale. What a way to go from social media. I love that, with all the rubbish that's on social media. Very, very good. I did like this as well. Get them at your local store, green and salty, just like my nuts.
Why? Why go from David Coverdale to that?
And this was great from Ed. I have to repeat this one. I put this out on the Amigos this week as well. Been adopted by some Frankfurt fans, being escorted to their pub. If you don't hear from me, then it's been fun. Then Ed goes, can't stress enough how sound these Frankfurt lot are. Having the time of my life here. His final tweet this week was, got robbed at knife point. Like, look, everything for me, hotel key. I didn't get to the ground. Unbelievable. We'll finish off with this. A board outside a bar in Newcastle. Derby Day sausages in the butcher. Newcastle beef and brew ale. A real winner versus Sunderland. Hot dog sausages in a burger bun. Because Sunderland's a massive club. I love it. Well done, son. Well done. Thank you to everybody who sent them in. If you want to send them in, get them over to the lads on their usual inboxes or send it to me, nufcmatters1892@gmail.com, and we'll get the cat out on the next show. I've just had a message from my auntie as well. After she was obviously tuned into the show. My auntie is a Sunderland fan, and she went, "Rest in peace, the great Gary Rowell. He was in our class at school. A modest, unassuming lad and a brilliant footballer. Enjoy the derby."
Well, fantastic message. And obviously, if you haven't heard as well Ted's message at the start of the show, it's worth a listen to. Sunderland fans, yeah. Gary Rowell, obviously, rest in peace, and thoughts with his family. Another monumental day. We're running out of time quickly because we've got to get Steve off to the derby today. We are talking Newcastle taking on Sunderland at the Stadium of Light today. But Ted, if this game wasn't special enough, mate, you've got a certain connection to this game, a certain member that will be walking out today that has had a fantastic, if not one of the most memorable weeks of his life. I mean, it's been an incredible. We've been sharing it. You've been sharing all of this footage in the WhatsApp. We have got a video to share today. But Ted, just fill the fans and viewers in right now of a special connection that you've got to someone that's going to be at the game today.
Oh, don't make me go. I get emotional when I start talking family. So my great nephew, and I know I don't look old enough to have a nephew, let alone a great nephew, let's be honest. But my great nephew Charlie is going to be mascot today, of all days. He has done the job before. However, in the Premier League against that lot up the road is just an absolute massive one. The whole family is. Well, I think my sister's been taking Imodium for the last 2 days, like just to stop the turkey trots. But listen, mate, we're all absolutely buzzing about it. Charlie's an absolutely lovely kid. I did send a few questions over to his dad, our James, to ask him a few questions on the lead-up, because I'm actually abstaining from giving a score prediction today. I know that seems like me being a bottle job. I will not be drawn into it. However, Charlie is actually going to deliver my score prediction on my behalf. Lovely kid. He also had a video message off Granit Xhaka during the week, which was just absolutely brilliant. My niece Molly set that up for him, and it was his little face. He's just absolutely buzzing about it. So hopefully he's going to thank Granit for the video message today, and hopefully Granit takes it upon himself to lead him out. But get this, right? The two players, so obviously he wants to go out with Granit Xhaka and lead the team out. That's the be-all and end-all. However, his second choices are Dan Ballard and Mukiele. Now, a young kid who favours the centre-backs, tell you what, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I couldn't be prouder. So, yeah, it's only audio that we've got. So we're going to go on a screen blackout, but Charlie's going to deliver a little bit of an interview, because he's a bigger star than I'll ever be. Like, I have heard this, and there's a little bit where I'll take it up with him after the weekend. But roll the audio, and we'll come back to it.
Hello, special guest. Please tell us your name, age, and who you support.
I'm Charlie, and I'm 9 years old, and I support Sunderland.
So, Charlie, this weekend is the derby. What are you going to be doing?
I'm going to the game, but I'm also a mascot, supporting Sunderland.
We heard you've been mascot before, but who are you most excited to meet?
I'd probably say Granit Xhaka, because he's quite famous and got good Premier League experience.
Now, your great uncle has a podcast called Three's a Crowd that's all about North East football. Who is your favourite presenter on it?
It's got to be Ryan, Steve.
It's a big game at the weekend, and everyone wants to know what you think the score will be.
I'd say 1-0 Sunderland, Dan Ballard header.
Seriously, his favourite presenter's got to be Steve O'Reilly.
Brilliant.
I mean, he's not only gotten, he's got his head screwed on, because he's got Granit Xhaka as the most I'm going to meet. He's got Dan Ballard, and he's got the centre backs all in there. But he knows class in the two presenters on this show that carry the. I mean, it's incredible. What a moment for Charlie, and congratulations, Charlie, and what a moment it's going to be, mate, walking out with that team. But not only,
I'll be no good when I'm watching that.
Mate, it's going to be very emotional for you, Teddy boy. And if this game couldn't get any bigger, but to have a family connection of someone walking out there in the middle of a derby with a fully packed out stadium alive, it's going to be absolutely incredible. Let's talk about it, as we've got to keep walking. We've got to get Steve off to the match today as well. We've got a massive game. Newcastle are travelling to the Stadium of Light today to take on Sunderland in what's going to be a massive derby. It's going to be an incredible one. And Steve, I'll come to you first. I want to get some predictions from you, mate. But one thing that you were addressing, and I think that I've noticed as well, we talk about that FA Cup game where the last time Newcastle played Sunderland, and there was a big gap I think, in terms of not only the coaching staff, but also the playing level. And we saw Newcastle's class ooze out on that day. Not only did they ooze out free beer for you after the game as well, which was absolutely incredible.
And chocolates.
And chocolates. Today is going to be, I think, one of the most hotly contested games, because I can't remember a time in my era of it being so close. I mean, we the last time we saw Newcastle taking on Sunderland, obviously, it was in that FA Cup. But going back, even in the last 10, 15 years, mate, today, just for me, I feel like there is such a closer margin in the two teams than ever before.
You know what, this game is, it is always big, and I have said that at the start of the show. It is a big game. It's one of the first we'll look for when Sunderland's in the division. For me personally, I've been to every derby since I started supporting Newcastle United, and being able to go to the games. Even the derby that we were banned from, I was there when the fan ban was on. I managed to get into the Sunderland section, and I was there. Obviously a little less known than I am now. But we've had some great times at both Roker Park and the Stadium of Light. The big blip came with the 6 in the row games. We just couldn't buy a win. In some of those games we were awful. In some of those games we played well and just we felt it was sucker punch. But you know what? It's a really interesting game, this one, because there's so many little dimensions to it. The fact that Sunderland's got off to a great start, and I think they're unbeaten against the top 8, it gives them confidence, and rightly so. But I will reiterate that Newcastle do rise to the big occasion, and Newcastle do, play well when they're under pressure, and they do have some big game players. We've got a better squad than we had the last time we played Sunderland, albeit we don't have the talisman in the striker that we had when we came down there last time. Although, to be fair, I don't think he had the greatest of games down there. But we're a work in progress, and we do have players who can come on and change it. We're not a one-trick pony. I think if this had been 4 weeks ago, I really would have been concerned. We couldn't buy a win away from home. We were struggling to score goals, and we didn't have anything that could change it up front. We've got Wissa now, who's had that little spurt of games, appearances. I think he'll be ready. I think the two things that will dominate this game are who's starting goal. I'm expecting, if he's fitted, to be Nick Pope. I think Nick Pope will come back in. 12 games, 8 clean sheets. His distribution's not great. We've talked about it. But he's the man who could probably give that back four a bit more confidence. The two full backs, obviously, I think it'll be Hall and Livramento. Centre half, I think it'll be Byrne, and I think it'll be Chow. I think the midfield position, the 3 in midfield will be Miley. I think it'll be Bruno, and I think it'll be Tonali. I don't think Joe Linton will be fit. I may be wrong, although he'd want to play the game. But I think Miley will be the hero of the day. I think he'll do very well. He has proved now that he can play at the highest level in the Champions League. But I think that'll be a 3 in midfield. I think left will be Gordon. I think Gordon has started to find a little bit more form. His Champions League form is now transferred into the league. And I do feel that on the right-hand side, it'll be Murphy. And I think up front, it'll be Walter Marder to start with. I think they'll go 4-3-3, and I think they'll go for it. I think, depending on how the game plays out, depends on the subs, of course. I wouldn't be surprised to see him go with the 2 up front at some point and bring Wissa on and play alongside Walter Marder, because he hasn't done it yet. There will be options to change on left and right. He will have Elanga. It's about time Elanga got out.
Yeah, not wrong.
Shell and did something. What a game to do it. And Harvey Barnes, he's always got a goal in him. The Harvey Barnes substitution will worry Sunderland if it's tight. If it's 0-0 or 1-1 or 1-0 to Sunderland, Barnes will come on and he could make a difference. But I think Wissa's cameo will be the most important. Wissa will come on and as well have a part to play. But I think the battle's won in midfield, and it's down to our 3 in midfield to get a hold of Xhaka and Siddiqui, and they need to let them know they're in the game early doors. And of course, then it depends on what the referee does. If the referee sticks a yellow card on one of our midfielders in the first 5 minutes, or vice versa, changes the whole context of the game, because
Yeah.
once the referee does that in the first 5 minutes, he's got to do
Yeah.
it for 85. So there's so many permutations, so many things. My prediction all week, and I've got to stick to it, is Newcastle will edge this. And I've got this sneaky feeling of a last-minute goal for us rather than Sunderland this time round. I think that there's been so much made of Newcastle conceding goals in that last minute. I think Sunderland will get off to a flyer. I think Sunderland will go 1-0 up. I think Newcastle will get back to 1-1. And I think it'll be us who gets that last-minute goal. That's how I feel. I felt it. I felt like that all week. And I just feel there'll be that kind of twist. There's always a twist in the tail. And I've got that feeling that that's what it is going to be. But who knows? Listen, may the best team win. I think somebody said, whoever wins this game will be the top dogs of the Northeast. Top dogs of the Northeast is decided in May when we see who finishes higher in the table in the Premier League. Yes, you want to win the derby match. Yes, it's the big games that you want to win. But let's see. Let's see where we go. It's exciting times. But yeah, I am going to predict a 2-1 win. If I'm wrong, so be it. But it's my team. I've got to back them to win.
And you will be going there. Steve, look out for the big, beautiful, bald head of Steve Wraith in the crowd today. It's going to be a massive, massive game. And we all do know that Middlesbrough is the biggest team in the Northeast, so that question's been answered many a time. Teddy boy, we've got to be quick, mate, because we are running out of time. We've got to get Steve, obviously, off to the game. 142 times Sunderland and Newcastle have played each other in the league. Newcastle wins 51. Sunderland wins 47. There's been 44 draws in there as well. But this is the stat that I love, mate. Newcastle goals in those games, 211. Sunderland goals in those games, 211. Equal on goals, mate, but not equal on wins, which is absolutely incredible. Mate, Steve was just rattling off there some surprises that he thinks maybe for the team news. Could there be any surprises today with the Sunderland team? Could we see a Chrissy Rigg? I mean, he would be absolutely up for it going up against Lewis Miley today if he was to be named.
He'll make the bench. I cannot see, in terms of the playing staff, I don't think there'll be any big surprises there. Maybe Habib Diarra making the bench after he's had his groin operation and he's back in full training now. And obviously the last chance before he is actually going to AFCON now. He was called up by Senegal. I wouldn't be surprised massively if Regis tinkers with the formation. He might just have something a little bit different planned. We've had a little bit more time than what the Geordies have had in terms of preparation for this game. Yeah. So, when Steve mentioned about seeing two up front, I wouldn't be massively surprised if we saw an Isidore Brobby front line to start with this. I might be completely wrong. I've just got a feeling. I know that Regis is kind of when he's given time to prepare for a game, like what he was in the playoffs, he can really change things. And yeah, there might just be a little bit of a twist in the tail. I completely agree with Steve about the refereeing, and it's a little concern that this guy has got the
game,
the fourth highest number of fouls per game awarded. He's shown the third most yellow cards and is one of just 3 referees this season to show more than 1 red card. He's got to let this game flow. Obviously, stupid tackles, we can't have that. We can't have that in the game. What we regard as stupid tackles now is maybe a bit different to what we used to think about 20 years ago, but that's the rules. But the game's got to flow. I think it will be very, very high intensity throughout the whole match. I don't think there'll be much in the way of lulls in the game. I'm not giving my prediction, obviously, because Charlie's already done one for me. But I think this will come down to discipline. It's if there is to be a winner today, it's who keeps their discipline the best. And it's to borrow an expression from my Geordie colleague there. It's about playing the game and not the occasion. I think whoever does that the best today has got the best chance of coming away with 3 points.
Righto, it's time for the final thoughts of us here at Three's a Crowd. The game is going to be played today. Newcastle will be taking on Sunderland at the Stadium of Light. It is a massive game to be sitting in the middle of these two men, both in the Premier League, both two of my good friends. But I have to put that aside today because I'm going to be sitting on the fence. I think it's going to be 2-2 today, and I hope there's all 14 red cards a piece, and you're both fined 10 million, and you have to come down to the championship with us because it's going to be, honestly, it's exciting for me, and it's because of you two that I get to watch this with added interest, I guess you could say. Final words, lads. Newcastle away to Sunderland. It is Derby Day. Steve?
Yeah, we're going to win. I am very confident of a win. I genuinely think Newcastle United will win 2-1 and, let the games commence. 4 hours till kickoff. Enjoy it.
Enjoy it indeed. If you are going, please travel safe. Teddy Boy, final words from the Mackem Corner, mate.
For 90 minutes, Steve, I'm probably not going to be your mate, but you will be absolutely fine after the game. Just everybody who's going, whether you're black and white, whether you're red and white, get there safely, enjoy the game, get home safely. Don't get involved in any of the silliness or anything like that. Let's show the entire world that the Northeast is the absolute hotbed of football and a hotbed of passion for football as well. And away the lads. And the 78-79 kid, I'm sure Gary Rowell's looking down on us, and we'll maybe see a new hat-trick hero today. Who knows?
Absolutely incredible. If you are going to the game, please travel safe. Please be safe. Thank you so much for the 500 of you tuning in. We do apologize. It was a shorter show. We have to get Steve off to the game. We will be covering everything that happens in the derby on next week's show here on Three's a Crowd. We thank you so much for joining us week in, week out, giving us all the likes and subscribes that you do. We appreciate you. We bring you the only Northeast football podcast where we bring Middlesbrough, Sunderland, Newcastle together once a week, where we put the banter aside. We enjoy the Northeast football, but today it's bragging rights. It's Newcastle v Sunderland at the Stadium of Light. Winner takes all until the next time we meet. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that's it for now for Three's a Crowd. Please have a fantastic, safe and enjoyable day. Good luck to those in the derby. Good luck to those who are traveling, and good luck to those watching at home. I know you will all be watching with some added interest. Take care. It's bye for now.
Three's a Crowd podcast will return. That's not a threat, it's a promise.